Hi, welcome to our third video on MOSAIC. It's Carolyn Bryan Carpenter here, and we're going to be talking today about commenting on the new proposed rulemaking that the FAA released. I guess it was July 24th, and the comment period is coming to an end pretty quickly here, so we want to get out some tips for you and how to comment, where to go to comment, that kind of thing, and that's what the focus of this video will be. We've done two other videos with detailed information on some issues and concerns that we have with the new proposed rule.
Yeah, we're probably running out of time to do any more than what we're doing right now. But this one for the light sport maintenance stuff is probably the most critical that we can see out of all the rule changes that are taking place. And so that's why we're going to focus on this and get you to make some comments regarding that. It's
just super important that you comment. And we're going to make it just as easy as possible for you. We have links right to the registry where you can read the new proposed rule. You can watch our previous videos. We'll have links to those as well. And so the focus really here is just to quickly review those issues in a very brief way, and then how to submit your comments with the tips. And again, remember that comment period is ending October 23rd, so we're down to just a couple of weeks here. I would just get right on it and try and do it in this next few days, if at all possible.
There was talk of an extension, but I think you said that's...
I haven't seen that come through. And when I went to the site yesterday, it was not in effect. It just still said October 23rd.
So assume that October 23rd is our drop dead date, and make sure that you get your comments in before that.
Absolutely. So the proposed light sport repairman rule is they're proposing to replace the hourly requirement, which is right now 120 hours, 15 days, with a maintenance rating that would require us to meet the airman certification standards. And they don't really articulate which standards.
That, of course, is one of the problems with the NPRM, is that they kind of have just not given us any criteria, so we don't really have any way to even comment on what they might be thinking.
It could be a 6-week program. It could still be a 3-week program. It could be a year-long program. And I think it leans towards that year-long program just because they're trying to rope up all of the complexities.
The goal here, of course, is to move this to the 147 schools. And
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the new proposed rule, to meet the airman certification standards, our proposal in our previous video, which we're encouraging you to watch if you have not watched it, is 15-day core training, and then just add those complexity modules for, like, say, retractable gear, or
electric aircraft,
sure,
powered lift, turbine engines, constant speed propellers, any of that stuff that the industry feels requires additional training. And I think we're in agreement with that, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of think that...
I think it's the only way that makes sense.
What we don't want to have happen is we don't want to have this new proposal make it to where we have less people taking training rather than more people taking training. We're already short on mechanics. We would like to get more out there and get more training out there. And I think this new proposal is going to put a damper on that. And of course, we beat that to death in our first video that we did.
It's going to affect safety as well as affect sales for the light sport aircraft.
If you have less maintenance training, you're going to have less safety. So,
So we are looking at the dramatic effect that change would have on maintenance with light sport aircraft. I think it's a super important topic, and I would take the time now to learn what it would mean for you, and certainly your comments matter. You know, the FAA's posted the proposed rule making asking for our comments and industry's input. From our website, if you go to our website at rainbowaviation.com, we have 2 recent posts. The first one is just a summary of the new proposed rule effects for light sport repairman. If you were to go to that, I have, I think there's 12 or so points on the safety, the ramifications.
These are points that they can use to articulate their desire for changes to the rule.
Right, it would be their solutions and their rationale for asking for the repairman maintenance course to remain as a core. Not that we wouldn't want to still address those complexities. So I think that that will give you some really good points that you might add to your comments. And then we also have another website, lsrmnprm.com. And we have a link to that as well from the previous site. If you look at the recent post, MOSAIC proposed rulemaking, summary proposals, we have a link to this website as well, where you can just Google it.
And this was just a quick website that we put up in order to basically take a survey and have people comment on basically some topics about the whole NPRM and the rule change as it relates to maintenance, and pretty quickly done, and it's hard to get that out into the general public, but we're getting fairly good response on that website.
Right. Well, I haven't really promoted it yet. I'm going to be sending out an email blast to everyone on who's taken our courses with a link to this video and a link to take those surveys, because we want to use the results of the survey in our comments so that we can upload those charts and talk about the percentage and the effect on the aviation community. I think it'll give us some good data to present to the FAA. So we're hoping you'll go there, take this short quiz. Won't take you more than
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a very short little survey, and if you could just do that, that would be fantastic. You can comment on the new proposed rule anonymously if you like, but we do encourage you to use your name. And then
especially those guys that have been in the industry for a long time and have a lot of credibility and credentials to back them up. I think that really helps to put some emphasis behind those comments that they make. So
absolutely,
please use your credentials and your name and your reputation to make comments as well.
We do want to mention that you should make separate submittals.
That was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Found out that they have the authority, if you bring up something, what's it called?
Out of scope.
Out of scope. Anything that is out of scope, if you bring up something, and one of the areas that we were talking about is we did video number 2, we did on our proposal for having the repairmen for amateur built aircraft be able to take a 2-day class and be able to do their own condition inspection. That was a totally thing. But what we found out is if we mention that in our comments, because it doesn't fall within the way that the NPRM was written, it's considered out of scope, and they can throw the entire comment out in the garbage. So if you've already made a comment combining those, we'd recommend you go back and make separate comments on the individual topics so that they can't throw those comments away. As
a side, we are still going to be addressing that repairman certificate for those with amateur built aircraft, just in a different way. And we've talked to EAA about it.
I think that EAA has pretty much articulated that they would like us to leave this alone. They believe it's a good idea and use it for some emphasis on the next go to get some of these approvals, and it sounds positive that they're willing to do that. So I think I'm not even going to make a comment about that. Simply both Van's request and EAA's request that we just
that it's out of scope. They're just saying
it's out of scope and leave it alone at this point. So I think we're going to do that.
But we're still going to follow through on that
it's
in a different, not through MOSAIC, but in a different manner.
Right.
So your comment should be in a separate submittal. So you can do multiple. So you could do and you're also limited. There's only like 800 words. I did see one person that said, because the words are limited, I'm uploading a PDF. And then he had a longer, but I think just if we do one topic at a time, we can fit that 800 word. And I'm just saying roughly 800 words is what I figured when I put in a comment to kind of count characters. Your comment should at a minimum cover who you are, provide some context of your experience. You're a pilot, you're a repairman, you're an A&P. And then how this is going to impact you, and be specific. Show specific experiences that you've had, or your own experience or your own goals in the future or how this would impact you. I think that that's important. And then the third thing is really important, that you offer a solution. So a better way or a less burdensome way of addressing the issue, like we did with adding the add-on modules. It's just more reasonable way to address the issue, I think.
Yeah, anytime you're complaining about something, you always need to come up with a solution to what you're complaining about rather than just complaining. So make sure that you make some recommendations on what you think should be done or not done.
So the closing date again is October 23rd, so we want to get those comments in before that. You can submit your comments at regulations.gov, or remember, you can go to our website, and I have a link. Your comments that support, safety justifications have the strongest impact, so you want to look at that.
And I think in our first video, we really covered a great deal of how this new proposal, I think, is missing the point, especially around safety. And I think some of our ideas on how to solve that also, once again, all directed specifically at safety. That's what we're passionate about, and that's why we do this in the first place, is, we feel that we're making a significant impact on the safety in the light sport industry, and that's why we've spent, the last 30 years of our lives doing this stuff. So,
sure. So if you go back to our website, rainbowaviation.com, and select MOSAIC Proposed Rule Published under Post, we have a link where you can read the new proposed rule and submit a comment. And you can see the yellow arrow is pointing to submit a formal comment. When you select that green button, you'll see a page that looks like this, and you can just start writing your comments. You can upload. There's an upload a file if you wanted, like if we wanted to add a chart with results from our survey, we could do that. And then they also have an alternative way to comment, a link for that. You have to be real careful. If you're going to be mailing in a comment, you must have the docket number, or they will throw it out. They'll notify you, but you may run out of time by the time they notify you.
Especially if you wait to do that,
Right.
and by the time this all happens with mail, you may be in big trouble. So.
Right. So just in closing, we want you to prepare to write a comment. We want you to, every one of these comments must be read. And they all have to be vetted. They're so very important that we have a lot of real life input. This is our time. It's been 20 years since they changed the rule before, so we really want to get in here and have our opinion heard. You can contact your representative and also talk to them.
This is a big enough deal, and the funny business that's going on behind the scenes, I think, warrants a little bit of a look from our representative to see whether or not, this is legit, because this has been happening kind of behind the scenes, and it hit everybody, including all the major organizations, by surprise.
Right, no one was consulted.
And, you would think that when you went to write a rule like this, you would want some input from the people that were doing these, AKA us.
Right.
And
Right.
we only found out about it after it was closed, and we had no ability to make any comments at that point. That was the first time that either us or our FAA supervisor had even heard of this. So funny business in the background.
Even EAA had no idea.
They were caught flat-footed on this thing also, and I think it's just the big money behind the A&P and the 147 schools that are making this happen. I believe that they've got some legitimate concerns with trying to move this under the purview of the FAA. This original whole idea that the light sport industry was supposed to be industry supported and not use our tax dollars. And I now know that, that because it's been such a success, the FAA would probably like to get a handle back on this and have it under ACS standards. And I kind of get that whole concept.
But we went through the standards, and we do already meet many of them.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's really going to be a problem for us to meet those standards. The fact that, we have no idea which standards, or even having been invited to be part of the process, I think that's been a big significant problem. And still to this day, even with request after request after request, we can't get inside the system.
Right.
And it's, so, you know, we don't want to ramble once again on this whole system, but there's some funny business going on here, and I think we'd like to head this off and, you know, just be part of the solution rather than a problem here. We need your help, though, from the commenting side of things to help us do this. We're just two individuals, so we will have some impact, but I don't know how much.
So we're asking that you know, rally your friends, rally your pilot buddies, and let them know, send a link to the video showing them how to comment, and let's get some input on this new proposed rule before it becomes implemented.
Yep. Thank you for watching, and remember to share this video with as many people as you can. Try and encourage people to write at least something on this subject, and see if we can't get some of this turned around and on the right direction.